kid, I was always interested in art, and I was always interested in model airplanes. The art I was doing, the landscapes that had been flat, they became vertical, they became aerial views looking down. For me, art, if it's less than the reality, is not art. I mean, I'd be in the plane and I'd look out, I could see for 50 miles on either side of me, and I would come back and make some tremendous big canvas, and I'd paint the clouds around the bottom, and I tried to make this vision I saw, and it was considerably less than what I'd seen.
Steve, how much of your artwork do you leave to chance?
Well, very little is left to chance. I mean, I plan these things very thoroughly ahead of time. Here, let me show you what I mean. For example, this July I'm doing a piece in Verona in Italy, and of course the smoke is going to be dispersing. This is what gives the kind of four-dimensional aspect of it. The people are in the audience here watching from below, and while the plane comes in, the orchestra's also played a note. And the plane spiraling up. Before I go into the plane, I'll make this card to remind me what to do with the spiral. And then I'll draw this whole program out before I actually fly it. I'll have it all designed in the cockpit and keep it in the cockpit with me, and then fly it. What I'm really interested in these pieces is the fourth dimension. There's talk about it. The person's most interested in it was when I was in the Soviet Union. They're very involved. I said, well, I would. They're very interested in space and things like that. I said, I was over there on a U.S. government tour, and they were very fascinated to see that in America. I mean, first of all, of course, there, I mean, not to be like get involved with the propaganda or the politics, but there, the persons can't even own airplanes. And to own an airplane, they saw the pictures of this plane. They said, you just painted this any colors you want. I mean, doesn't it confuse the military, or doesn't it make some problem? And then the idea that I could do something so capitalistic and decadent as own an airplane, which, the total cost is about $35,000, which in rubles is a tremendous amount of money. An airplane that just flies around in the sky and makes smoke and drawings. But then I said, but look, I fly around in the sky and I make these tremendous four-dimensional sky sculptures, smoke drawing pieces. And this is free for the people. The workers out there on their tractors can just look up and enjoy it. So they thought, well, that's marvelous, free art for the workers. Well, that's okay then, as long as, so that was, in one way I was like a totally decadent capitalist, and in another way I was like a real communist, because I'm just giving away these free pieces. But, this was the whole idea of the four dimension. The piece not only has the three dimensions, I mean, it has height, depth, a certain amount of weight. It not only has time, which of course is giving it the fourth dimension, but it has that advantage of perspective. No person, the pieces are so grand, of course, that no person, no two people are ever going to see it exactly the same. I mean, you're under it looking up, I'm above it looking down, you're over there. It's existing only for a second. It's blowing away, and so it's changing even in itself. It's almost like a piece that's living, birthing, living, and dying instantly. Everyone could see it, and everyone could see it differently. Over here, smoke off, smoke on, vertical, over to here, invert it, down here, the quarter roll will be down, over here, there'll be a quarter roll here, up, and lay back to invert it with the smoke off. That'll be that one. And coming back in here, there'll be a series of 3 loops, and they'll be about at 60-degree angles to each other. Kind of hard to read it in here. So the 3 circles, and hopefully, of course, these haven't dissipated that much. But of course, this one, if you're really looking at it, this will be pretty much gone by the time I'm up to here. And coming back up here and just putting a nice straight 45-degree diagonal line heading southeasterly up and flying out of the picture.